there, I'm Lyndon Thorpe, and this is the Burnout Breakthrough. And we will be joined later, I think, by Dr. Joseph. But to begin with, let me tell you a little bit about my work. I'm a burnout specialist, I'm an embodiment mentor, and so I work a lot to get people to step out of their limited minds. To me, there are two minds. There are many more than two, but for our simplicity's sake, then we've got this mind, the very developed cognitive aspect of being human, which developed nations have focused on for the last 400 or 500 years, and which we deem to be the kind of goal of being human, sadly, because it's not the goal of being human. It's great to have such wonderful tools and to be able to calculate and so on, and to compare and contrast and all of these wonderful things that analyze, of course, is so important. These are fantastic skills. But that's only a little tiny part of being a human being, you know? When was the last time you just stared into the distance with an empty mind and sighed and relaxed and breathed and just existed? Yeah, we are really driven to perform by all sorts of external factors, expectations, external goals, and so on and so forth. And really, it's a very difficult way to live. You can't live that way. We have to relax, we have to walk, we have to do all the things that human beings always did before the limited mind became so developed, so overdeveloped in my view. Many of my people cannot stop thinking. They overthink their project or their business or whatever it is. They're overthinking, so they can't sleep, they can't digest their food properly. They are obsessed. We could say in mental health terms, they are obsessed about whatever it is that's driving them. And that really is a very strong sign of burnout. If you're overthinking, if you can't stop that, then you are a candidate for burnout. And burnout is not it's an unbelievably difficult situation to be in, because really it entails damage to the nervous system. And that takes a long time to recover from. In fact, some people never do recover from it. So it's really important to have a balance, you know. Yes, we get enthusiastic about our goals. Yes, we are also keen to be approved of and to be popular. That's a very basic human need. But if we focus too much on everything that's going on outside our life, then we neglect our internal life. And most people are living from really the neck up. They are not at home in the body. If they are, they're sleeping in an exhausted state and so don't get refreshed. They don't have time to digest their food properly. They don't read books. They don't watch movies. I find I'm a very, very busy person, but I make sure I switch off every evening at 6. And I watch movies. I love movies, films, videos. So every day I watch a video, and that really allows me to close down my busy mind, and I can just appreciate, stretch out, drink something nice, eat something nice, and appreciate a story. Yes, that's a very important part of being human, which when we're using this part of our being, we forget. Stories are relegated. They're for children, but it's not true. All human beings need stories. And if we don't have them in our life, then we are missing something vital. There's so much to learn from stories. We learn in a meta way at the side of stories. And so, yes, for me, a very busy business owner and mentor, then by allowing myself 2 or 3 hours a day to enter into the world that somebody else has created, in other words, a film director or a novelist whose book has been made into a film or something like that, then I'm able to recoup any tiredness, any other negative emotions that may have arisen during the busy day. Yeah, I can really relate to what other people's stories are conveying to me. So stories are so important, and yet we really deprive ourselves of them as adults. We think they are for children. Well, that's one aspect of a balanced human existence. So yes, burnout really is very much about the firework display of the mind, the limited mind. It's brilliant. The capacity and the skills that we are capable of nowadays are amazing. And add AI to that, and you have an amazing stage in our development. But what's happening all around us is that people are mesmerized by that firework display of thinking, of planning, of conceptualizing, and so on. And they get addicted. They can't go back. They can't go home to their bodies, to their spirits. Yeah, I'm not talking about religious spirit. I'm talking about the human spirit. The human spirit is what drives us. It drives the body. It drives the intellectual mind. Without it, we're nothing. And we only have to look at extenuating circumstances around the world, war, conflict, natural disaster, etc., to see how strong the human spirit is. People keep fighting to survive, fighting to overcome. And that human spirit is very much part of our being. So it's really important that we have balance in our lives. Things like fresh air, if you stay cooped up in your office all day, determined to get something finished. Yeah, another big problem with the limited mind is our determination to get something finished, something concrete, we think. But there is very little that is concrete in this world, actually. Uncertainty is the greatest certainty in our human existence. So if you're end gaining, in other words, if you're pushing through, looking at your clock and saying, oh, just another 10 minutes and I'll get this finished. If you're end gaining, that's perhaps something to do with ego. And it's a very good idea to just stop and come back. And of course, we can do that easily now, especially with the help of AI. I very often start a project, can't get it finished. I'm feeling tired. I need to stop. So I say, okay, I'll be back. I'll come back and finish this later. So your AI assistant can help you keep your finger in the page, and then we'll take you on to the next stage when you've rested. So yes, it's so important to regulate your day. If you regulate the day ahead, then you will be able to sustain long periods of time with your work, with your projects, and so on. Regulation is important. And of course, that's all about planning. But when you plan, many people make the mistake of creating external goals. They're kind of public. They're very much to get approval from others quite often. They're very much about some kind of drive that people imagine is going to happen once they've committed themselves to something public, a kind of accountability, if you like. But really, those kind of goals are not only often unreachable and unrealistic, but they may create quite negative energy. If you don't realize them, recognize them, achieve them, you may get disapproval from people. You may feel that you're failing. All of these negative reactions are not good for us to sustain a project. We need to be positive if we're going to keep going. Of course, we have lapses. We have moments when we want to give up if things are not going the way we want, and so on. But therefore, when you are setting your intentions, I don't call them goals at all now, because a goal is something outside, a goal post, and we're talking about sports. And I don't happen to think that the sports analogy is really so useful for human beings in many ways. So if you want to be more balanced about your planning, it's much more important to set inner intentions. And inner intentions are about your life, the life inside yourself, because everything starts with self. The world doesn't exist if we don't have self. We can't perceive it if we don't exist and we don't have an anchorage to view it from. So it's really important to really go deeply into your inner being and to really, first of all, be very sure about your values. Your values, your inner values are so important. And once you are sure of those, and which entails knowing yourself, I think many people just don't know themselves nowadays. They're pulled out of themselves by things like people-pleasing, seeking approval, meeting quotas, meeting deadlines. All of those things are external to us. Internally, we need to get in touch with our feelings, and they're invisible. They are intangible. They're in the invisible world. We can't prove them. Scientists can't really prove your feelings or your values or your inner intentions. And once you're in touch with that and you are leading yourself instead of leading others, that's where it starts. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. So I very much teach self-leadership before any other kind of leadership. So once you really know yourself, once you authentically identify with who you are, if you can, then that means everything else will fall into place, because what we need in life, and what we certainly need to avoid burnout, is congruence between your inner values, inner feelings, and your external activities, behavior, and so on. I know so few people who really know themselves and who have taken the time to explore themselves, to love themselves. Self-compassion is one of the most important components of leadership, and especially self-leadership. We have to be compassionate for ourselves long before we're compassionate for others. And self-compassion really is all about never giving up on yourself. Yeah, many people withdraw. Perhaps they've got a great idea, they don't get the approval they want from outside, so they quit, they leave, they give up on themselves. Self-compassion is about never giving up on yourself, and about having clarity about your activities, your goals, or your external intentions, if you like, rather than goals. So that's an extraordinary element, self-compassion, extraordinary element. Many people don't realize it exists, but it does. And we do run out on ourselves. We do give up. We do desert ourselves, withdraw, and so on. We are the only person who can truly believe in us. We have to be self-reliant. We have to be self-connected. Yeah. I'm very fortunate because in my life I've done a lot of spiritual work, and I really am connected, and I do know who I am, and I am self-compassionate. So I keep going. I keep going. And I keep supporting myself. That's the most important thing. If we're constantly looking around for support from others, approval from others, then, our dreams will never come true, and our missions in life will never become clear. And we have to be certain about this. There's something extremely certain about this. We need to realize that we are the anchor. We are self. The way we perceive the world from self, from this position, this is our anchorage. And we have to understand that, and we have to get in touch with that. Many people are not in touch with themselves. They are disconnected because they have pandered so much to everything external that they have lost contact with their true nature. And their true nature is probably buried beneath layer upon layer of social conditioning, external expectations, and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, through spiritual training and through my trainings, I do a lot of training to get people back down through those layers, to drill down, and to eventually reconnect with self. And it's a glorious moment when you do. And then you begin to realize how much you're lacking self-compassion, how much you are pandering to other people instead of to yourself. So that sacrificial kind of approach to life, it's become ingrained, really. And that, again, is the limited mind. If we can be seen to be helping other people rather than helping ourselves, then we are deemed good people. But in fact, if we don't help ourselves, how on earth can we help others? It's not realistic. It's not authentic, maybe. The motivation behind it is not pure. So clarity is what we need. And you can see I'm feeding out to you all of these points which come from a clear mind. I have a clear mind, but it's not here. It's here. It's my nervous system. Clarity can only be achieved or recognized by the nervous system. It's a bodily thing. It's not a type of thinking. Clear thinking will never be clear unless the nervous system is clear and safe. So safety and clarity go together. And once your nervous system is safe and grounded and regulated, then you start to have this extraordinary feeling of being clear. Clear from the body. Yeah. Remember the eyes. We associate clarity with the eyes, okay? Well, the eyes work best when the whole body is working behind them. And so lots of my meditational guidance is about the 3 pillars of our bodies, which are the breath, the spine, and the whole body awareness. And once we have those really working, once those are really part of our existence, part of our daily routine in a mindful state, then everything else falls into place. We suddenly have clarity. We suddenly are so clear. And I wish for that for everybody. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. So, time is moving on. I think I haven't got a message from Dr. Joseph, but I suspect he's caught up in something. So maybe we can't expect him to come today, but he'll be here again next week. So yes, break through your burnout, and better than that, please avoid it altogether. It's really important that you take steps right now to avoid burnout, and it is avoidable. Last year, I published a book in August called Your Body is Your Business Plan. And this book really points up all the ways in which you can avoid burnout. Avoiding burnout really is all about awareness. Yeah, and many of us are unaware. Let's look at just one of the behaviors that seems to fill our world today and makes youngsters very influenceable, and that's wearing headphones. Yeah, people wear headphones. They think it's really cool, fashionable to wear headphones. But in fact, if you wear headphones, you're really limiting your chances of being aware, because awareness comes from the whole body. It's not just here. This is another misconception, that listening, which we're all taught we should be doing, is limited to here, the ears, the ear mechanism, close to the limited mind. But in fact, that is totally inaccurate. Listening with your ears entails much more than letting sound in and out of these organs. It entails the whole body. So whole body listening or awareness is what will make you a brilliant leader and a brilliant practitioner of balanced living. So headphones will cut down your perception of the outer world massively. I live in Japan, and here we have a real problem on the roads with cyclists. because they are completely unaware of traffic around them. And there are many, many accidents because cyclists are wearing headphones, small headphones, listening to something else, or maybe even talking to their friends while they're riding along. Well, really, that's just as bad as using a phone when you're driving, you know? So here in Japan, yes, it's very dangerous. Cyclists are very, very much a danger on the roads. And yeah, I think in general, young people, because they're determined to have their music and their kind of comforts and conveniences, wear headphones all the time, virtually. Not healthy. And it really does decimate your perception of the outer world. So I don't recommend them at all. I can't wear them at all. They really make me feel quite sick. And so I don't recommend them at all. We're here on the earth. We are here for a reason, a mission. And if we wear headphones, we're cutting off our connection with the world around us. Of course, people say, but the noise. Yes, there is so much noise around us, so much we need to keep away from in many ways. But by cutting out your external world via headphones, you're never going to do that. We have to become aware inside. We have to become balanced inside. And then we will be truly aware. So just a few tips about avoiding burnout. If you're interested in my book, I'll put the title below this window when I've finished. It's very easy to read. It's a gateway book, and there are several other books coming that are more intensive and so on. But this will give you the basis of burnout avoidance. It will also show you how to balance your life and how to be truly happy. Until we have balance between body, spirit, and mind, we can never be truly happy. That's how we're meant to be. We're not meant to live from this. It's like living your life as a pencil or a piece of software. Doesn't make sense. The whole body is where we are meant to be. And if you have any doubts about that, please look back in history and imagine your ancestors 500 years ago. They didn't have headphones. They lived fully in their lives, surviving, very often striving to survive, discovering new things, paving the way for us, but also fully alive. There were many things they didn't have. They didn't have electricity. They didn't have immediate light. They didn't have immediate warmth. So a lot of their lives were spent creating warmth, creating light. And stories were so important. Yeah, before TV, even poorer people who couldn't get access to books or couldn't even read, perhaps, they would live fully by telling stories to each other around a hot fire. By candlelight, they would tell stories. And as I started off saying at the beginning of this little talk, stories are really so important in our lives. They allow us to keep in touch with our humanity. And they're also metaphorical. So a story will teach you things that instruction in a book will not. the story of someone's life who overcomes something terrible. That speaks to your inner life. And it gives us also moments of awe, which is an essential human component, and also gratitude. Yeah, those two things are really important, awe and gratitude. Every day is a new day, and we should have awe for that. Every day I'm completely awed by the weather. Yeah, I watch the weather a lot. And it really is influential on my life, on our lives in general. But it's awe-inspiring to think that this weather is constantly changing, that it allows the seasons to produce flora and fauna according to those parameters. And it's constantly changing, which is the other extraordinary story, if you like. There is nothing more certain in this life than change. We're changing every moment, and we can see that in the weather. We can see the way the clouds move, and we can see that eventually all the clouds move away, and we have just a brilliant blue dome of infinite sky. That is what it's all about. Infinity, change, flexibility. And if we get too trapped in the limited mind, we become less and less flexible. We outsource. Many people outsource their health, their education, and we become less and less self-dependent and self-knowledgeable. So, yeah, let the weather be your story. Watch it going on outside your office. Take time to stay outside for a couple of minutes. Feel how the temperature of the air is changing every minute. Feel how the sun is moving, the shadows growing. It's fascinating, and it's a real microcosm of our human lives. Yeah. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sorry Dr. Joseph couldn't make it. Still don't have any message from him, so I hope it's okay. But anyway, he'll be in touch. And yes, we'll be back again next week. We want to talk more to you about SDIG and the mission of SDIG, get you involved if possible. And I'll be available during the week on LinkedIn, various live things going on. So please get in touch if you'd like to know more about my work or anything I'm doing. And yes, thank you so much. This is Burnout Breakthrough. I'm Lyndon Thorpe, and I'll see you again next Monday, same time, same place. Thank you so much.